On this episode, the withdraw. Hey everybody, this is the Quarter Show, and today we're going to be talking, by the way, I have a guest. I've got Spencer Lull. He flew up here from San Francisco to join us this week. He's spending the week, or a couple of weeks with us anyway.
Yeah.
And so we figured we'd get a guest appearance and have him on the show and talk about something that he is intimately familiar with. And so we're going to be talking about the withdraw today. So this is a funny one. You know, you get into sales where, you know, sometimes there's a deal and you're pushing and you're pushing and you're pushing and you keep trying to get the deal done and it just is stuck. It won't move. You keep pushing on it and you keep sell, and it just won't move. It won't push over the cliff. It won't push over the edge. And there's this analogy that we use internally here where, you know, like a boulder, it would be completely insane to push a boulder and keep pushing it so hard in one direction when it's not moving. Sometimes you have to pull the boulder back a little bit rock it back and then push it forward. And so we have this thing internally where, you know, sometimes in a deal, and this is not like a funny sales tactic, it's just simply sometimes in a deal, and this is human nature, you have to withdraw. You have to pull something out and sort of take something away or take it off the table. And, you know, salespeople hate to do this because they're trying to get a deal and they think they're going to lose something and they're always afraid of losing something. That's another episode. I want to talk about that. Losing something that you don't have anyway. Everything is to gain, in fact. But we'll talk about that in another show. But bottom line is, salespeople hate doing it. They hate withdrawing, but there's a way to do it. And I'm going to let Spencer kind of answer this question and we're going to talk about it further. But you know, there's a way to withdraw on a cycle and pull back on a cycle a little bit. And often it will, amazingly, cause the cycle to happen. And I think it's just how human beings are rigged, and I think it's potentially related to physics itself. But you just physically can't keep pushing the boulder. But yeah. Go ahead.
So I think, first of all, like, I mean, Robert's right. You have nothing. When you're pressing, and it's just push, and nothing's happening, there's obviously something that you've missed. There's something wrong with the deal, right? And sometimes you've handled everything you can think of, and it's still not going anywhere, and you've pushed. There's kind of a give and take. So you have to do it right. You have to do it cordially. You can't be rude. There's no, oh my gosh, you wasted all my time, anything like that whatsoever. I mean, even though sometimes you want to, after you've worked maybe a month with a potential client and you've helped them out with everything and they're just like, oh, I need to think about it or something like that. Mm-hmm. And you're like, why, right? Come on, man. So you have to do it cordially and professionally. It's just, hey, you know, appreciate, you know, you give me your time so far.
Sure.
Looks like this is just not the right time for this. I'm going to go ahead and, you know, we'll reapproach this at a later date. And when you do that, it takes the pressure off because, you know, being a prospect myself sometimes and being sold on things, you have somebody continually pressing you. There's a lot of pressure there. You know, there's a lot of intention. Yeah. And when you just pull that intention out a little bit, you're like, look, it's fine. Like, we're all good. Mm-hmm. Appreciate it.
You pull back.
It kind of can create this like, oh, but we wanted to do it. Like, you know, it's just not the right time. We're pulling trigger in 2 weeks or something like that.
Sure.
So you're going to find the real objection at the same time.
Absolutely.
You're going to find the actual reason why somebody's going, no, I don't want to do this.
Often they'll force origination. It'll force the communication of what's actually happening. You know, and it's a conversation starter. It's a fire starter in some ways. When you pull out, they're not expecting that, but you have to be willing to to walk from any deal, get up and walk and pull out of any deal. And it's a very powerful tool to use if you are willing to walk from a deal. Then it's easier to make deals. You don't have this sort of like need to have this deal. Oh my gosh, I need to make this deal happen, which is really dangerous.
Never does anything.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
And you put too much like, I need this deal on the prospect. You have to care about the prospect, you have to care about the mission, you have to care about what they specifically need, but you also have to be willing to pull out and be willing to walk away. And sometimes when you pull out a little bit and you walk away, often they'll come back and they'll originate what is really bugging it, and sometimes they'll go further into communication, and then you can handle it and move it forward. And it seems very counterintuitive, by the way. It feels very counterintuitive, by the way, to a lot of people, and even when you do it internally and even the customer. Obviously, you don't want to be rude. You never want to be rude. You want to keep your manners in and make sure you handle things the right way. But sometimes the right play, if it's stuck, if the boulder is not moving, the deal's not moving, the right play is just pull back a little bit.
Sometimes it'll happen in negotiation. You'll be negotiating with somebody and you're trying to keep it, obviously it's a give and take. You're trying to help another person out and they're trying to work with you. And there's very few times where I want to say no to a deal. But there are people that, and it's nothing, I guess, bad, but it's, people are like trying to get every penny that they can, right, in a negotiation. And that's not wrong. People are trying to get the best price they can.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. But there are times where it's like, I remember the first time I was getting negotiated really hard. It was first when I started working for Richter, and I was like, yes, 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 yes to everything just to get a deal done. And I'm like, please, please, And finally, I was like, I was getting to the point where I was hurting Richter's image by just lowering the value that much.
Right.
And what we give to clients is just unbelievably amazing, and the value that we extend to our clients is worth every penny. So at that time, I remember I'm like, I felt bad about the deal. I was like, I don't want to do the deal if I feel bad about it. So I just went, I really appreciate it. I never ever like to say no, ever. But this time I really feel like I have to say no.
Yeah.
I appreciate your time. I'm just going to go ahead and cancel the proposal, and maybe we can do something in the future. And the person immediately came back and was like, no, we really want to do this. We're sorry. We're not trying to, we're not trying to take too much from you. And I was like,
sure.
I was like, cool, this is, these are the terms, and, the person got a freaking great deal. But, but, and now they're a great client and they love our work, and it's, it's just the way it is. And it was a perfect time to like, okay, look, we're not doing this.
Right.
You have to know when to pull out of it. And
the other thing about pulling out on the cycle is withdrawing on a cycle is you don't just go dark. Like, you can't just like, I'm just not going to communicate with these people and just not respond. Like, I'm just not going to call them. I'm not going to email them. I'm not going to follow. That's the wrong way to do that. Don't do that. You have to always, if you're going to withdraw, you have to communicate that you're withdrawing. So you have to email them or call them and leave a message, or call them directly, or cancel the proposal, or whatever. But you actually have to communicate that you are withdrawing. It's important that you do that. If you just go dark or you go quiet on them, that's a weird way to handle it. That's not the appropriate way to handle it. Not responsible way to handle it. Always communicate that you're sort of withdrawing in a cordial business manner, and why, and it doesn't have to be a long explanation. You don't have to make them wrong in any way, but just sort of communicate that you're withdrawing, and it makes a big difference.
Yeah, it's important. And the thing is, the sales aspect of it, when you're in the trenches and when you're trying to sell somebody on your value proposition, your product or whatnot, and you're pushing. Sometimes it can feel like you don't, like what Rob was saying, you don't want to lose the deal.
Yeah, sure.
You're like, I don't have this I won't have this deal anymore. First of all, if you have to push that much and nothing is happening, there is something amiss. You've already passed something that needed to get addressed earlier and it didn't. So you don't have anything at that.
You're not confronting where you actually are, and you're deceiving yourself anyway.
Right.
You think you're further along than you actually are. You think you have something. You think it's about to pop when it's really not. You're stuck. Right. You're stuck. The deal's stuck. You're stuck at a stage, and you need to do something different to fix it. If you just keep going, ask, push, it's just not going to go. It's just not going to go. And you've got to course correct. You've got to get it back, and you got to get them back in communication. Sometimes you got to withdraw in order to make forward progress and finalize and get the deal concluded. So look at doing that. Look at how you can apply that. If you have a deal you're stuck, withdraw. and then move forward and figure out a way, or not. Sometimes withdraw and just walk. You know, you have to be willing to walk and leave it, and you can't just withdraw and think, oh, I'm gonna get this close. Maybe not. You know, maybe withdraw and just leave it, and
then go get more cycles, because
focus on new stuff.
The only, like, if you're sold on your product, which you have to be to really sell anything properly, and not just come across as a salesman, because that's where salesmen get a bad name. Is like they're just trying to sell something. And you know, if you really want to help people, and I know I do, that's why I'm in sales. I like helping people, and it drives me. And it's important that you don't put all your eggs in one basket with one cycle anyway. So if you're really feeling that, like, oh my gosh, I cannot leave this. This is the cycle. I have to close this. You don't have enough people in your pipeline. That's the truth. You have to, you know, it might sound bad, but you have to be willing to walk away. Yeah. And there's power in that. There's certainty in that. There's power in that. And it's not like it's not meant to be a mean thing towards a potential client or anything. It's just technically you're wasting their time if you're asking, and they're like putting their
and it's not handled. It's not going.
You're wasting their time. You're wasting your time. It's a disservice. So it's like, look, you don't want to waste their time. You want to make sure that you can help them in the future. So you always want to keep that line open.
Absolutely. So think with that. Use that. By the way, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the like if you like the video. If you want to see more, add comments in the bottom, or go to Twitter, go to @thequartershow. Ask us questions there. We're going to answer questions on the show and things like that. We certainly appreciate you watching, and we'll have more coming at you. Okay? Well, thanks.